Wow, look at all that. Look at all the whiteness. Look at all the. I'm sweaty. Oh, I went to the gym. I worked out, obviously, because that's what you do at the gym. And then I got out of the shower. You know, sometimes like you go and work out and you get out of the shower. Look at the dark circles that are in my eyes right now. Wow, I've been using some really good product too. Let me adjust this light, guys. Ooh, that's not the way to go. Hey, it's a little bit softer. But I've been using some really good product, and these are allergy eyes right now, bro. We got cedar fever. But anyway, yeah, man, it's crazy. Um, but you know how, like, let me go back to that statement. You go to take a shower, and then you get out and you dry off, and all of a sudden you're like sweating more because the temperature alignment, or maybe your body's just like, I don't know. Anyway, and look at all this whiteness back here. So as you can tell, well, there is a little. You can kind of see that there. That's part of my new studio design. We are completely redoing it. You never got to see the redo of the redo. So now we're completely I hate this setup. Matter of fact, I need to get this done. This is a serious situation. But there is a redo of the redo. So I have flipped everything around. Matter of fact, I should turn it so you could see. Everything that I was sitting in front of is now, I've got new shelving. I've got pictures over here. I'm going to have, this is the thing that Stuart gave me. And then I'm going to have some pictures here because it started over here. And then I'm going to have my eggshells here. And then this part of the wall. And then I'm going to have some eggshells, probably from about like this is all going to be eggshells. And that'll help with the sound. And then I got the new lighting I got to connect. But give it time. So for now, probably each week you're going to start to see a little bit more and a little bit more. God, that's really bothering me on those eyes. I look like Vince Vaughn right now. It's Wednesday. We wear pink. I'm wearing pink on Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing good. Lots going on with the Life of an Average Show podcast. We are upgrading to a massive, massive level, and I'm very excited about it. I know I've talked about this back in January, but there's been a lot going on with me since then. So, you know, I've got a new car. My job has been crazy. I took 2 weeks off work. There's just a lot going on. So things had to shift. You know, you had to get your priorities straight. But my priority for 2026 is for the rest of 2026. You know, my priorities have always stayed the same, essentially, right? But as far as the show goes, it's what did I do? I just broke my camera. Oh, son of a biscuit. Ooh, the monitor just screwed. Oh, the monitor just screwed up. Hold on, dude. The monitor screwed up. I have a camera extension, and it ain't helping me right now. Oh, God, that sucks. I gotta get the studio done. But my big thing and now it's, I gotta put a lot more effort into this show because it's slacking lately. It is, and I'm not happy with it. It's to the point where I'm not happy with it, where it makes me not want to do it anymore. And I will do it, and I have a lot of fun things to talk about, and not so fun things to talk about. And I have a lot of good interviews that I'm waiting to get permission to release, because some of the people that I've talked to, they're working on movies. I just talked to a director who's got his new movie coming out on Tubi, and I'm pretty excited about it, but I've got to get permission from him to when to post it because it's got to align when the movie releases. So I've got some really fun things. I got to go to a special screening of He-Man Masters Universe, the new Masters Universe that comes out on June 5th. That was exciting. So I kind of I have an episode related to nostalgia movies, nostalgia cartoons, things that I think would make really good movies, cartoons that would make really good movies, or even action figures from back in my day, years and years ago, that make good movies. But I have to wait till it gets closer so I can talk about He-Man because I can't really say anything about it now. I did a non-spoiler review, of it. You can watch that. I'm talking vague, but so we got a lot of good stuff, but I need to sink some time and effort back into it. And I think when I'm done recording this, I think I'm going to work on putting up some more stuff because it's time. It is absolutely time to get some things up here. Anyway, so Life of an Average Joe podcast, last week talked about traveling and all that. And there's been a lot going on. And I wanted to discuss this because there's so much stuff shifting in the world today. It feels very tribe-like. I was talking to a buddy of mine about that, and it feels very tribe-like. It feels very, I don't want to say separated, but very tribe-like. And what I mean by that is you have your group of people that believe that this is a healthy way to live. And you have your people that believe that this is a healthy way to live. And instead of just talking about it and debating and having these conversations, you are now separated. Oh, you do that? Oh, you do this diet? Oh, you only work out like this? Oh, well, you're wrong. Oh, you don't use this eye cream? Use that eye cream? Well, that's why your eyes look the way they do now. It's not the fact that I'm taking allergy medicine and I'm sniffing and there's cedar fever going on. It's because I don't do this. I don't use this eye cream or this special technique that they've been using for years. Oh, you sleep only like 9 hours or, occasionally, and maybe you sleep 6 hours on average. Oh, you could sleep with 4 hours. That's why you're not losing weight. And then they separate themselves. Oh, you like this football team? Okay. Oh, you drink that wine? You love that IPA, but what about this IPA? And instead of just having different styles, different opinions, or trying to understand why people do things, we're in this tribe-like manner. And it's really happened over the years, worse and worse and worse. But it's also really been since 2020, which I think something happened in 2020. I don't know. We all make jokes about it. We make jokes about what 2020 did, and COVID, and what it meant on every level, what it meant on a health level, what it introduced to the world, what it showed the world leaders and the government officials that they can get away with doing, what it did to our kids. We're still going to find out what it did to our kids years down that road. But it almost seems like time has gone by faster and yet slower since 2020. It almost seems like the light switched and the government changed. I don't think they really changed. I just think they said, we don't have to be afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. We can just do what we want because look at what COVID did. But everything just feels very weird right now. The mentality, the psyche of the United States, and I can only speak for the United States, but I also look at the world because there's other things going on in the world that blow my mind. But the psyche of what's happening and the testicular fortitude that it's given people to just act a certain way and say what they want with no regard is wild to me. But that being said, I feel like there are some really bad things happening. And I've talked about it, but I feel like more than ever, and I think as I get older, I realize this, and I'm not perfect. I know you guys think I am, and it's fair. But I haven't always been good to people. Shocker, right? And I haven't always been good to the girls I've dated or whatever. Not abusive. Not like essaying or physical abuse. That's not me. Not really even verbal. Just maybe not as honest or open as I should be, or as in my younger years as even attentive. But there's always been a level of like, you treat women a certain way. I have said some mean, horrible things to women in my life. Sure. And maybe they deserve to be spoken to a certain way, but maybe I've taken it too far. I admit that. I don't do that now. I haven't done that in a long time. But I always mean like, you don't hit. And I've been in bad situations where, and look, let's be real, guys. Human beings can make you want to hit them. A woman can make you want to hit her, especially if you're in a relationship with her, because your emotions are through the roof. Like they did, like love and emotions make you do crazy things. There's no excuse, and you have to be a big enough human being and a man to restrain yourself and remove yourself from the situation. And I am not going to say that I have not been in a situation before where I've had to be like, nope, you got to get out of here, lady, and have physically grabbed a lady to pull her away from me so I could dip out, or I'm a human being. I don't know what's going to happen. And I've been clocked in the face and slapped and things like that. And just instant reaction, you're like, but you pull out. So you don't hit. But there's something going on in this country. And I will speak for this country particularly because I am an American, right? America does not care about its women overall. And it's not fair for me to say that because there are men out there right now and boys out there right now and women out there and girls out there like, what are you talking about? We care. Guys, hear what I say. America does not care about its women, nor its children. And this is a two-part conversation. Look at what is going on a regular basis with women. We live in a society of OnlyFans. We live in a society of passes and softcore. And we live in a social media society where AI girlfriends are a thing. AI companions are a thing. Guys, there are apps out there that you can literally change your AI girlfriend to look and do things and physically and create your own fantasies and OnlyFans with this AI girlfriend. And it's popular for a lot of reasons. Look at what was it, grog or what? Grog's the drink, but look at what the AI. Oh God, almost said Zuckerberg. What freaking Homeboy's AI program did? It literally was creating Elon Musk's program. Sorry, I'm looking it up. It's usually, or it was creating grog. It was grog. Oh, grog. Grog, not grog. Grog is a Asian-inspired soda from two dudes in Australia. But grog. What it was doing, and mind you, it's in the United States right now, and by that I mean it's the government is using it. It was creating deep fakes, and it was creating child pornography. Okay, and it put it out there. And it was rapid. People were using it for deepfakes. People were using it to face swap women and young girls. Girls, I said. And you don't believe me about it, check it out. You can look at it right now. It's all over the internet. So, he's producing more AI chips and AI advancement than his Chinese competitors that we know of. That's scary. But look at the way we do that. That's the first thing we go to is we are going to make an AI companion that we can do whatever we want to. And some of these things that were happening on Grok, I gotta stop calling it Grok was abuse. They were making fake AI child stuff. And they were abusing it. There were torture films, there were snuff films, but it's AI, so it's okay, right? There's the rules for AI are, and so that's where we're at. But this is what we get the technology for, and that's the first thing we do. Men, now, I'm not ruling out women. Women do it too. Ghislaine Maxwell, that's all I gotta say. There's others. But the way that we don't care, there are, how many times have you heard, I'm 47, but how many times have you heard in your lifetime a woman comes forward with allegations of rape, assault, verbal, sexual, physical, mental. I was assaulted on a subway. People were taking upskirt pics with their phone. People were touching, groping. How many times have you heard that? And either A, nothing's been done. B, the first thing, especially since the dawn of social media, but even prior to that, but probably what most people are familiar with now, is the denial. Well, why'd she wait so long? Oh, she probably is just angry because he broke up with her. Oh, why'd she wait so long? Why'd she wait this long to come out? If it happened 30 years ago, why now? Oh, because this person's rich, that's why. Well, why'd she take a settlement? And now she's coming back. So quick to turn it on the victim, to make the perpetrator and the allegations irrelevant and turn it on the victim. When studies have been proven why it takes so long, and that result, that answer, that general consensus of not supporting, not coming to their side, or not even saying, hey, look, we need to investigate this. This woman says this. This person says no, but this is a serious allegation. Let's dive into it. There's nothing wrong with saying that. There's nothing wrong with keeping your mouth shut until you find out. Now, have women lied in their life? Sure. They have. Have men lied? Yeah, we're looking at it every day. I mean, 9 times out of 10, that woman is not lying. That's a fact. But these rapes and these assaults and these trafficking, and it gets ignored. And they throw money at it, or the powerful wins. Unless you're Amber Heard. She tried to lie about Johnny Depp, and we found out the truth. But think about it. Look at Paris Hilton. This is a prime example. Paris Hilton, I don't care what you think of her. I think she's amazing, actually. And I think she's doing a lot of good. And that woman has grown up, and she is doing amazing things. Paris Hilton is fighting for women's rights, okay, number one. But also for kids and women who have been abused. Now, she had that porn tape that was leaked, and everybody referenced her as that. She's just this dumb billionaire or millionaire. She's just an airhead. She's, got a porn tape out. Who is she to sit there and talk about abusers? Paris Hilton, do you ever think about what happened to her? You ever think about why she is the way she is, or why she was the way she was? Paris Hilton has revealed for a long time that she suffered severe physical and emotional and sexual abuse as a teenager while attending several youth residential treatment facilities, including Provo Canyon School in Utah. She was subjected to forced meditation, solitary confinement, and abuse by staff, leading her to become an advocate for reforming the troubled teen industry, and she testified in Congress for kids and for people that have been raped. Between the ages of 16 and 18, Hilton attended 4 different schools where she was strangled, slapped, watched taking showers, and called nasty names. She was also forced medication. She was forced on unknown pills that would cause her to feel tired, disoriented, and have lack of sense of what's going on around her. She was also put in restraints and thrown into solitary confinement naked, and then violently restrained for weeks at a time. This was a parent-approved kidnapping. She was taken from her home in the middle of the night by strangers and transported to these facilities where she recalls being raped multiple times at the age of 16. And they're always in Utah. And they're always in Utah because the law is there. And there's documentaries on Netflix about this. No one believed her. No one believed her about this. Nobody did. There's a documentary on YouTube. It's I think came out like 2020 called This Is Paris. I highly recommend watching it. She is a massive, massive advocate and fighting for these kids that have been that way. These are kids, and it's always about abuse, power, and sexual destruction. She was also drugged and raped when she was 15 by an older man multiple times in the UK when she was modeling. She came and told people and told authorities about that and was denied. They didn't believe her. The man's free to this day. They haven't believed her. But they said it was part of the modeling. He just, it was an act, and she's just exaggerating because she's a young model. We don't believe these women that come and tell you. A 15-year-old girl has the percentage of 15-year-olds that come out and even talk about it is not high. The amount of girls that come out and talk about it that are lying is even less. But how would we know when the men and women and adults and law enforcement and leaders of this country are there to protect these women turn their back on them? And that's happening consistently. Why is it happening consistently? Well, look at it. Because the millionaires and the billionaires and the families are so dark. You do not get into power like some of these people, like the Rothschilds and Trump and all these people. And do we dare talk about former Prince Andrew and everything that's been connected to him and the rest of the royal family? You do not get into power and maintain power that long and run in these circles without doing dark stuff. That's a reality. And I'm not saying that everybody that has money is dark, but we are talking about people that are shaping the world, that are running the world. They treat women like objects. They treat kids like objects, and they definitely treat girls like playthings, and boys. And they don't care. Why do you think Epstein had baby farms? It's not fake, guys. It's real. He didn't do it by himself, okay? Jeffrey Epstein did not do this by himself. He had co-conspirators and a network of millionaires and world leaders and people we don't even know of that run this world. He was a representative of the Rothschilds family. That's not a lie. It's in there. Do we know how the Rothschilds got their money? Do we need to talk about that? Because if you don't, you should find out. Ritualistic behaviors run in these circles. Ritualistic sacrifices run in these circles. And it's greed, and it's sex, and depravity, and it's the Tower of it's Babylon. That's what's happening. Anything goes. It's Vegas in the 1960s. It's the horror and disgusting things that happen in Africa and Thailand and other parts of the world, and Cambodia and it's the world we don't even know about. And they use children, and when they're done with them, guess what they do to them? Spit them out, chew them out, or unalive them. You don't believe me? The Bank of America is set to pay $72.5 million to settle an Epstein-related lawsuit. The lender did not admit to any wrongdoing as part of the settlement, but they've agreed to pay that to settle a lawsuit filed by a victim of late financer and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Attorneys said that on March 11th, after a mediation, federal judge also mediated Jane Doe versus JP Morgan Chase. They have the settlement. Now, here's the deal. They said there's no wrongdoing. They don't believe it. But the class lawsuit includes all women who were sexually abused or trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein, or any person who is connected to or otherwise associated for Jeffrey Epstein. Pretty interesting, right? They don't believe they did anything wrong, but they do believe after the allegations of what he was doing and where his money was coming from, that they ignored transactions that would have been normally flagged by the federal government. They ignored that because of how much money he had invested and what he did and had, and the relationships he had with the CEO. So elites and banks and the people that created the banking system, Rothschild, are just going to pay out $72.5 million to how many hundreds of victims and thousands of victims that we know of, and what are they going to get? So we didn't do anything wrong. We know the CEO was in your files and on your island and you were buddies with him and he resigned. We also think that you sent him a torture video. We don't care. Let's throw money on it. Because we don't care about the women. How many, and we want more proof that we don't care about these women now, but they were girls back then. And it doesn't matter if they were women when these things were happening. We don't care. Pam Bondi, a woman, a bitch, but a woman, who is the lapdog of Trump, who's going to get put out as a sacrificial lamb sooner or later. We hope that she gets arrested. Probably not. Has sat there before she became Trump's little bitch girl. I'm sorry for swearing, guys, but I'm really not. Came out, and there's a video of her going, "We will fight for any woman that has been trafficked, any woman that has been attacked, any young girl that feels unsafe." Really? Because you laughed in their faces to protect your leader, your king, so you could sit on his lap and bounce a little bit. That's what you did. You lied. And you continue to lie, and you continue to redact. You told the American people the minute that you didn't say, "You know what? I'm calling an investigation on this. No. You released over 3 million files, by the way, that we know of, redacted everything, and were caught trying to take President Trump's name out of files. So you said that's more important. So as a woman, you let every other young girl down, and you are betraying the American people, human beings, every young girl that is growing up that wants to be in a position like that. You've betrayed them. The leader of the free world. Free. We're not free. We act like we're free. We have more freedoms than a lot of other people, but do we? No, it's an illusion. We don't live in a democracy. Democracy is dead. The United States of embarrassment, it's dead. It can change, but it's dead. We are run by a group of 10 families, and that's real. And those families will chew people up and spit them out. Because here's the thing. Why have we not investigated anybody? We're so quick to weaponize these allegations and turn them against the victims every time. How many times have you seen, I know girls personally, where something has happened to them and they have never reported it because they don't believe anything would be done. And they knew who did this to them. I was in high school, and I can't really talk much about this, but I know a girl and something happened to her very, very bad. And she knew, and we found out who did it, okay? And she never went to the police. And I lost a friendship over this. She's doing good now. She's married. She has kids. And I'm so happy for her. But I lost a friendship over this for months of battles with her. And some other things that went down. But she didn't go to the police. This was years ago. This was in the 90s. She didn't think anybody was going to believe her. It's your typical, he was too popular of a guy. No one's going to believe me. They're going to look at me weird. I'd rather not know. So we're going to embarrass these women and these girls because we don't want to support them? That's my water jug, guys. I got a lot of water. How many liters is this? What is this, dude? This is dang good water, too, bro. Let me see. I gotta finish this by tonight, so. I don't know how many liters this is. It doesn't even say on here. Shouldn't it say on there somewhere? I should ask my people about this. The guys who distribute it. It doesn't even freaking say. Stupid. Anywho, to this day, though, she's like, I don't know if she says this, but in my mind, I'm like, you know about it. Maybe your husband does. I don't know. But you have lived with that secret. She has a daughter. What's going to happen if something happens to her daughter? Is she going to tell her the same thing? I'm not criticizing her. But it's hard to have faith when people like J.P. Morgan and Pam Bondi lie and they throw money at you to shut you up. Jeffrey Epstein threw money at these girls to shut them up. Politicians. And they do it to children. And they've always done it to children because they don't care about our children. Look at the education. Look at where we are in education. We give $3 billion a year in aid. My light just went out. And I don't care. Whatever. We give $3 billion. Sorry. This is the worst podcast ever. We give $3 billion in aid every year to Israel. Now, I need to first and foremost say, guys, this is not an anti-Semitic thing. This is not a screw Israel. This is not a Nazi. I don't believe that, but I have a problem with several of these things. Israel and being Jewish are two different things, and the government of Israel does not reflect so many of the wonderful people out there that I know that are Jewish. And I know it's tough to talk about, and I'd be happy to talk about it with them. This is not a belief thing. This is not an trust me. But I am not a Netanyahu guy. And I think that any country that can, over and over again, that can give $3 billion to Israel. We give $3 billion in aid to Israel, not including what that cost is to the government, to the citizens of the United States a year in a country that has free healthcare, better education. And if you look at it, now I know there's a lot of wars, they've been bombarded, but if you look at it, a better satisfactory or way of life than we have in the United States, if you look at it. And there's polls and you can Google it. Meanwhile, in the United States, by the way, they have less homeless people than we have, way less. We can't take care of the vets out here. Our healthcare still sucks. Our education is semi-trash. Our kids are going hungry. Our women are being ignored. Parents are struggling to raise their children. There's homeless people on the streets, and we don't care. We have a president that's been in the Epstein files over 1,000 times, and nobody's even investigating him at all. We have some boo-hoo circus act with all these other people, and half of them haven't been arrested. The arrests that have been made in the Epstein files because of Epstein are happening out of the country, not here. But we're going to send $3 billion to another country, which, by the way, spies on us on a regular basis. And once they're done using us, they're going to buddy up to somebody else. And you don't believe me? Watch it. The current regime, anyway. That's all I can say. But this is not new. The government has always ignored until it's too late. The adults have always ignored the cries of children and girls until it's too late. Let's go back to the Brother Paul's Children Mission from Michigan. All my Michigan people will recognize this one. You guys know about Brother Paul's? Completely garbage organization. It was big in the 1960s and 70s, okay? And what it was, they had this, the Sheldon family, they accumulated a lot of wealth through lumber and real estate in Michigan. And Francis Duffield Sheldon, he was the man behind this. Now, he was pretty affluent in Michigan. He maintained a lot of respectable public Why is it doing this? Respectable public, whatever's. Like people listen to him, but he created this organization called the Brother Paul's Children's Mission, and it was a child pornography ring operating in North Fox Island, which is in Lake Michigan, under the organization named Brother Paul's. It incorporated in 1975 and was advertised as an organization which provided services to children with reading problems, emotional counseling classes, and physical fitness. During paid sessions on the island, the boys were filmed engaging in, you guessed, and the adults were there, and adults were being flown in to do these things to 13, 14, 15-year-olds. What was interesting, there's other men involved too. Francis Sheldon, Dyer Grossman, and Adam Starchild were also there. They started multiple organizations. They got government funding for this. This is so jacked up too. Government funding for this, and they would charge the guardians $85 back in, the 70s. That would be equivalent to about almost $500 now, to come to the island, and they would fly people out. The kids would stay on the island. They'd feed them, lock them up, abuse them, take them out in the different parts of the island, abuse them, invite the wealthy over to abuse them. And one child later said that there was a hunt. How many times have we heard this? There was a hunt. Now, what they would do is they would put color flags, like football flags, on these children and send them out into the wilderness to hunt them. And whoever got found first was out of the hunt. And the winner, the last child found, was rewarded by spending the night in the management office or management cabin with up to 6 different men. And they did whatever. There were rumors of bodies being on this island and rumors of many kids who went disappeared. Nobody believed them. Nobody believed them at all. They even, he was active in Big Brothers organizations. He was active in the YMCA. He started the Church of the New Revolution, which was a scam. And that church was used to recruit children to this island. He would also go and have trips in Chicago, and they would take kids off the street, bring them to work, and those kids would also abuse other kids. Nobody believed them. Nobody. It wasn't until there was an arrest made where they started to look at large, let's say, supply of child pornography in his car and office, and there were stamped envelopes filled with pictures that were getting ready to be mailed. As they started to investigate the mail, they found out there was a whole mailing list of people that would take the video footage and pictures as souvenirs. These millionaires would sign up for packages, and they would get this stuff sent to them if they couldn't make it to the island. Another island, by the way. So now what ended up happening is they got arrested. 3 of them got arrested. They shut it down. But Grossman, who was a millionaire, still to this day is not arrested. They believe that Grossman fled to California and Sheldon fled to the Netherlands. At the time, the Netherlands and the U.S. did not share an extraction treaty. Grossman was charged with, it doesn't matter. They're declared fugitive. It is believed that Grossman, after law enforcement, went across the country to look for him. They went to California. Richards was identified, and they caught Richards. Sheldon was listed as a sponsor of the Boys Farm, a smaller child pornography ring in Tennessee, and that's how I arrested him. Grossman, who was a teacher in New York and came from money, whose family, are you ready for this? Guess what family they were friends with? Rothschild. The Rothschilds family. He is gone. They can't find him. Richards was arrested in 1988 and died in prison in 1994. Good. Grossman was never apprehended. Sheldon died in Amsterdam and retained some of his wealth. Starchild died in Spain. Thank God he stood on trial, but he never got arrested for North Fox Island. Grossman has never been seen again. If he's alive, he's stated to be 85 years old. So a millionaire teacher, which that's weird, from New York connects with the pedos in Michigan. They form, and the government pays them to form these wonderful things for these children, and then they traffic these boys, and then the parents pay to have their kids abused, and nobody believed them. Multiple accounts, multiple phone calls, nothing. Nobody believed them. Years this went on. Why? Because of money. Grossman, mind you, from New York, millionaire, friends with the Rothschilds family, disappears and nobody sees him again. If he's alive, he's 85. Or was he just taken out because he was giving the Rothschilds a bad name and they couldn't have that? All these victims. Michigan, the government didn't care. The United States feds didn't care. They ignored it. It was the Michigan State Police who finally cracked it open, finally. That island is now owned by the state of Michigan, and you can go there. I don't know why anybody would want to go there. Allegedly, they found nothing on the island, but there are many boys that went there that never came back. And now they're suspecting that the Oakland County child killer case, which was a massive case for a year, it was five or six Michigan children died in 1976 from 1977. The suspect, Christopher Bush, was a known client of Brother Paul's mission, creepy pedo island in Michigan, and would fly out there. He is also someone that was hired by them to go to Chicago to find kids. So the Oakland County child killer, who's a pedo, went to Pedo Island, worked for Pedo Island to give them kids. You don't think that they got rid of any kids that were a problem? But the government didn't care. It's not until now that they even made this connection. There are so many stories about us, I say us, our government not caring. Until it's convenient. Until it's convenient. There's been an investigation, Cesar Chavez. You know, there was an investigation by the New York Times that for years, he was grooming girls, little girls. He's the United Farm Workers co-founder, and he abused girls who worked in the movement. And he also potentially, I'm not going to say this, trafficked them. The minute that they found that out, the minute that the Republican Party found that out, they took down statues, they took down portraits, they were going to remove the holiday, Cesar Chavez Day, they were changing street names. The minute that, well, Brandon, that's great. I mean, if there's 50 years of data on him abusing young girls, that's great. Really? Because there's over 1,000 times our president was in the files, and nobody's investigating that. Nobody's investigating any of these CEOs. Nobody's investigating the Crofts, who are over the owner of the Patriots, who's been to the island. Half of Trump's panel who's been to the island. Nobody's investigating them at all. But we hear something from a guy who's dead, and we're instantly taking down statues. So it's convenient. Oh, we got to fight for these women and these girls who got abused. Meanwhile, massive, horrible, pretty legitimate allegations are going on with the people in power now, and nothing's happening. Look what we did to the Native Americans. Our country. People always like to say, that it's one nation under God, and that's always been the case. It's not the case. It was never the case. Our country was not built on Christianity. If you look at history, okay? And look at when under God got put into play. And I'm not bashing that, guys, okay? I'm not. But we need to stop with this twisted way our country was formed and accept the fact that our country was formed off the abused and slaves and atrocities. And we have to accept that. It doesn't mean that great things haven't come from this country. It doesn't mean that we can't do great things. But if we don't accept what is in front of us, or I should say what our history is, we will live in denial like the Ted Cruzes, the Donald Trumps, and half the world out there. We've done some horrible, horrible things off of arrogance, ego, and greed, and consumerism. We literally built half this stuff off of slaves. And we didn't care if they died. And look what we did with them. Not me, but I'm talking about the people of the United States. Look at the women, the abuse. You hate them so much that you put them in chains, but you just abuse them when you want it. And these women went unjustified. No justice came of this. Sure, it's done now, right? You don't believe that way anymore. I don't know. Talking about getting rid of birthright citizenship, that's crazy to me. Trying to get rid of mail-in ballots and make those mail-in ballots even harder, that's crazy to me, man. But that's a different conversation. You want to talk about what else we've done? We committed genocide. Genocide. The Native Americans. And what we did to the women and children. We don't care, guys. America is slowly, and not slowly, it's depraved. And the message out there, and there's a reason why these women feel like they're being attacked. And I, at times, have often said, okay, that's a little too far. I'll admit it. When I've talked to women friends of mine, and they've said, like, no, they're going to take my rights away, they're going to take my right to vote away. And I'm like, look, that's too far, man. And I'll admit it. Sometimes I think some of the things I hear do sound too far, because it doesn't register with me that would even be a thing. But then I look at what's going on now with the voter ID and the way they're trying to pack the Save America Act. All these little names that they hide behind patriotism sure sound racist, sexist, and almost like Nazis. You know who else made pretty things like German pride? We're proud to be Germans. No offense to Germany. You guys have a bad history, and it's okay. You guys have done a lot to get past that. Okay, I'm not bashing you now, but German pride, and I mean that's how that's how Hitler rose to power, right? We need to have the industrial revolution here, and we need to make things in Germany, and you should be proud to be German. Well, now we hear that in the United States. The word patriot meant something, and now we hear it, and we look who it's associated with. It's not really associated with patriots anymore. It's associated with MAGA talking heads that won't listen to anything else, or racist. Not all of it, but I'm just saying, guys, you know what I'm talking about. Being patriotic. Look, I work with a true patriot every Tuesday on Trash Talk Stewart's X. Okay? A man who fought in this country and still loves this country and believes in this country. And you know what? He's hurting for what he's seeing. And you know what? At 80 years old and being in Vietnam, yeah, he's got that right. More right than you and I got. Okay? That's a patriot right there, my friend. But he ain't standing for this bullshit. Any of it. That's the patriot. But when I hear this other stuff of like, this is what America does, the Save America Act, and we need to do this for America, it sounds very like us versus them and division. It doesn't sound unified. So when I talk to these women about how they feel and how they feel that it's, the men in the room are criticizing or judging and or they're getting away with things and saying things, and I'm guilty of it too. I have a crude sense of humor. And I also realize there's also like a no filter with me where I will say whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. And I will also apologize. I've done it at work. I've said something, I go, no, that's not what I meant. My bad. And I'll acknowledge. And if somebody calls me out on it, I've got a couple people that I work very well with that have called me out on it and said, hey man, that doesn't sound right because of XYZ. And I'm like, dude, cool. Good call. My bad. And I correct. And then sometimes I'm just stupid. But when I hear some of the women say they're going to take our rights away, I'm like, I get it. I get now part of it, why you feel that way. I can't fathom it. It doesn't make sense to me that that would even be a thing. But I hear it and I get it. And when you look at what they're doing and how there are going to be women that lose their rights, because this isn't just a you weren't born in this country thing. This is a God forbid you changed your last name, you got married, you got a divorce. That could extend how you vote, and then you could not vote, which would take your right away unless you got X, Y, and Z done. But there's other things too. We talked about abortion. And nobody wants an abortion. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I can't wait to abort this baby. Okay? They don't. If they do, we need to arrest her. But there are people that have had situations in their lives where they had no choice. And in the state of Texas, you can't do it. So you force that woman or girl to leave to go to another state to get it done. When she already is dealing with the trauma of all of that and what it brings emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. And now you're forcing her to go to another state to deal with the trauma out of her own home, hiding like a refugee. Again, nobody wants abortion, but that is something that got overturned. That was pretty impactful. We can't even protect them from being raped. We can't even protect them from their workplace. And we make it to where these abusive boyfriends and husbands, you get a restraining order. It doesn't mean shit. Yeah, well, they had a restraining order. Yeah, well, he still walked in the house and shot her. And we just let it go. And look at the kids. We don't care about the kids. And you want to know why we don't care about the kids? And guys, when I say we, I don't mean me. And I don't mean you. I mean the United States. And honestly, fuck half the world. But I can only talk about the United States. I gotta stop swearing. I'm angry about this. If we did, then these school shootings wouldn't be continuous and we wouldn't stop talking about them. They want you to stop talking about them. It's not good for business. They don't want you to talk about Epstein anymore. They don't want you to talk about the corruption in these elites and the baby farms and the sacrifices and the ritualistic acts and the raping and the trafficking and the disposing of bodies. They don't want you to talk about it because nobody cares about the missing. You don't think the parents and the people still care? They don't care. But you know what? Now I know another reason. Because this isn't just isolated to one state. Why don't you go look up the lost women of Alaska? How many women go disappearing there? and never are seen again and never heard from again, or their bodies are found and nothing's done. That the Alaskan natives who were chopped up literally and spread across the ice road, and nobody knows who did it for 2.5 years. Over 32 Alaskan natives, native to Alaskan. Okay, we're not talking people that moved there. We're there. That's somebody targeting them. Why is he targeting them? Because nobody cares about them. That's how they feel. And it's proven when we find the graves of the children, the graves of these women built on the grounds of these churches, and we don't care. Women come forward on a daily basis, and nobody does anything about it. And our government doesn't care because they protect the people that deserve to be taken out on the street. And you don't believe me, let me drop this little thing for you. I'm going to tell you this right now. This is going to be crazy, okay? Let's just take a look at how many children go missing. There are approximately 460,000 reports of missing children yearly. 93% are endangered runaways, allegedly. A child is reported missing every 68 seconds. They said that stranger abduction is less than 1%. I don't believe that. I mean, I could believe that because genuinely speaking, the kidnapping are somebody they know. Might not be the parents, might not be the family, somebody they know. In 2004, there was 29,000 cases recovered. 29,000 out of 460,000. And there are those cases where the kids just run away, they start their own life, and they move on, and that's it. Meanwhile, I want to tell you another statistic to show you why our government doesn't care. And this will be interesting. In Israel, 21,000 children. The same year, 21,000 children were reported missing. I'm not bashing Israel. I can talk about that another day. I'm talking about the fact that we give $3 billion to a country that has 21,000 children missing. A lot of that, unfortunately, is due to the wars and, the Gaza Strip and everything that's going on there, and then what goes on in separation, detention, all that stuff. It's horrible. One child missing, I can't fathom. But we give $3 billion to them every year. They have less missing children than we do. Why don't we put this? My whole point is, if our government cared of anything other than themselves, money, protecting their friends in the world, and what they want to happen, we would be sinking that $3 billion into the United States of America. And I would say that to any country. If any country was giving another country $3 billion while you were behind on education, you had missing children, you're behind on rights, your healthcare sucks, housing sucks, groceries through the roof, gas in Texas is almost $4. I would tell that, I would tell that country to keep some of that money. It doesn't make me not want to help anybody. It makes me smart. I don't go loan somebody $500 if I'm behind on my bills, no matter how much I am. I don't care what you are. Because that's putting my own family at risk. The heck? We don't care. Now here's another statistic. How many women, this is really hard to talk about, but an estimated 463,634 people aged from 12 or older are victims of rape or sexual assault in the U.S., with 9 out of 10 being female. Approximately 1 in 5 women in the United States have been reported a completed or attempted rape at some point in their lifetime. 1 out of 5 women. If I'm hanging out with 5 girls at a bar, 1 of them has been raped. Are we okay with that? That's just okay? That's a mentality. And I think that the culture that is being presented to us in this country, and the message that is being presented to us in this country, and the lack of accountability, and the lack of punishment, and the lack of support from our government and local government is allowing this to happen. And I think social media is brainwashing so many people. Sex, and OnlyFans, tits, and this, and that's, and ass, and this, and here's some butt, and, every girl. I can make $50,000 in a month showing my hey nanny now. Cool. I mean, you're beautiful, but now I go on a date. I got to find out if you got OnlyFans. And guess what? I can't date a girl who's got OnlyFans. Maybe I'm old. I just don't want to share you. Kudos to you. It's your body. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But is it creating a weird sensation with the message from our government to this? I'm not accusing. I'm not saying nudity makes men rape. I mean, we're not cavemen. Although the statistics show otherwise. 8 in 10 female survivors first experienced rape before the age of 25. Only 25% and sexual assaults are reported to the police. You know why? Because they have no support. They get judged and they're scared, and it's a horrible, embarrassing process to go through after they just went through something horrible. Guys, we got to be better. Men, you need to step up. We need to stop. Okay? If the government's not going to take care of your children and educate your children and protect your children, we have to. Men, if you are not going to sit there and be respectful and take care of these women, and I don't care how bad they are. There's some crappy women out there that I could care less what happens to them, except for that. We got to be better. The rich are going to continue to get richer, and the poor are going to get poorer, and they're going to die. And when you get rid of the middle class, which is essentially what's happening, then the government has more control. And the best thing they can do, I mean, it's going to get into a point, and you guys need to start paying attention. These are things that are happening fast. Those statistics are happening fast. And under the guidance of what they call control, they're going to take more from you, okay? And they're going to continue to have their bunkers and their islands and all this. So men who have daughters, you need to be there. Mothers who have daughters, you need to be there. And that goes for sons too. But now, looking at both sons and daughters, if you have kids, you need to be there. And if you know somebody that has kids and you're their ally, you need to be there. We need to stop with this tribalism. We need to stop with this message that is really disintegrating core values. People are forgetting about them. And some of us take a long time to learn those core values, but it's sad, and we need to stop it. So there you go. That's my message. Sorry for the horrible lighting and the movement back here, and I'm in the midst of a construction zone. Although, really, I have a bunch of cool stuff. I had this with Stuart. I got all these cool things on the floor, but I got to position them right. So I'm gonna leave next week. Better stuff. We'll go next week. I think hopefully I get the green light and I can post that video about the Tubi movie. If not, I do have a fun conversation. We're getting into summertime. We're getting into Memorial Day. We're not really getting into Memorial Day. We're just getting past Easter. I'll save that one. I got a fun Memorial Day weekend story that I'll tell you about when we get into May. But yeah, we're going to talk about, hopefully we got some movies to talk about. If not, I've got plenty of others. So come on back next week, Life of an Average Show podcast.